Hi everyone, and welcome to Elite Rugby SandC podcast. First off, if you haven't already, sign up and join Elite Rugby SandC today. We provide you all your strength, conditioning, speed, and recovery needs. You can try before you buy, so try our 7-day $7 trial to get a taste of what we offer here at Elite Rugby SandC. Sign up to our newsletter and receive free bonus content each and every single week. So take your game to the next level, become a beast, and join Elite Rugby SandC today. Today, I am joined on the podcast with head coach Tim Sampson. Tim has been the head coach for the Western Force for the last 5 seasons. Before joining the Western Force, Tim coached the Canberra Vikings in the NRC competition and was an assistant coach for the Junior Wallabies. On this episode, Tim talks about his time coaching at the Western Force. Tim shares his coaching philosophy and how to create a positive culture in your organisation and team. He gives great advice for up-and-coming rugby athletes wanting to go pro and provides insight on how matchday selections are made. This was a fantastic episode, and thank you, Tim, for joining me on the podcast. Enjoy! So, g'day, Tim. How are you?
Yeah, going well, Kieren. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm going well, thanks. How's Perth been treating you?
Yeah, no, we've had a great time here in Perth, mate. 4.5 years. It's flown as it normally does, and it's a great place, and the family love it, and we really enjoyed our time here.
So, being over there for 4 years, reflecting on your time there, what have been some of the highlights of your time there, and what are some of the main things you've also learnt as being a head coach for a Super Rugby team?
Yeah, I think there's been many highlights, and if I go back to 2018 when I first moved over, I think the first training session we had 4 balls and about half a dozen cones to work with, because it was genuinely a rebuild. And that's what excited me moving over here. So that particular season and forming a squad and new staff members and pretty much starting from scratch again, it was a highlight, and where we got to pretty quickly that year. But and then each year, because it presented something different, what was a highlight. And 2019, the growth of global rapid rugby then was creating a lot of interest worldwide, and on the back end of that competition, we were in the NRC and had a successful NRC campaign that year and won it in 2019, and that was special, for many reasons. But to win a title with that group of players that sacrificed a lot, and staff that sacrificed a lot to move over to Perth with a bit of uncertainty. It was just it was pretty special, mate, and I was very proud of that season. We had some quality players in there, and we throughout the media we got labelled as the Super Rugby rejects, but it was I think we proved a few people wrong that year and played a nice style of footy, and enjoyed it immensely. So that was a good season. Certainly a highlight. And then entering back into Super Rugby in 2020. In Super Rugby AU, it was pretty special and memorable for a lot of people. I remember getting goosebumps when the guys ran back out onto the SCG versus the Waratahs in our first game. It was for so many people, people that have been at the club a long time before I arrived. It was special. And then as to where we are now, a genuine, pardon the pun, but force in Super Rugby. There's been many highlights along the way, mate. But I think also just the growth in individuals and the recognition that the players are starting to get now. Who, one that comes to mind straight away was the Western Force's captain this year, and hooker Faleti Kotu'u, who he was one of those players that sacrificed a lot in 2018 to move over to Perth, and he was capped last year as a Wallaby. So that's also a highlight for me, is to see the growth in some of these players, and where they're at now in their careers to where they were a few years ago. Yeah, so I think it's mate, there's some, to name a few, but there's been many along the way, mate.
That's awesome, and it was great to see the Western Force back in the Super Rugby, and just all that news with the heads of rugby wanting to cut more teams out of Australia and all that stuff. Is like, no, we can't do that. We need to keep growing the game and allowing people to have those opportunities as well. Just the players that you just mentioned there. If we didn't have the Western Force, they might have not got an opportunity, and that would have mean more players leaving Australia, and who knows what they can offer. And it sort of sucks when we see a lot of talent leave Australia to go somewhere else. And yeah, it's just awesome to have the Western Force back in the comp, and hopefully they can keep growing and be competitive. And same as the Melbourne Rebels, just keep growing the talent and just being competitive, and who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, you're spot on, mate. I think there's certainly signs there, this year, even compared to last year. And I think for Australian rugby, we all want to see the Super Rugby clubs continue to improve and perform well and win championships.
Do you think another form of rugby should come back as like the NRC? Should they bring something back like that? Because club rugby's nearly going to end soon. I think the Shoot Shield's only got a couple of rounds left, and Canberra rugby only has like 4 games left before finals. Do you think there should be some sort of format like that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a no-brainer, and I know it's been tricky the last few years, but I think it's imperative to have that next level of rugby, as well as just getting more quality games into our players. And I think there's been a lot of commentary on that over the last year or so, comparing us to the New Zealanders and how many games they played probably since leaving school to where they are now as All Blacks. It's immense compared to our guys. And it's going back to 2007. The ARC, which then became the NRC, and I was winding up my career then, but there were 18 and 19-year-old players like Will Genia and Quade Cooper and James Horwill, Curtly Beale, the Fainga brothers, and so they obviously all had long careers here in Australian rugby at Super Rugby and Wallaby levels. So the proof's in the pudding. And we've probably seen that more recently is with NRC players transitioning to Super Rugby and becoming Wallabies. So I think it's imperative, but I also understand it's been a bit tricky the last couple of years. So let's hope for everyone's sake that over the next year or so that we do see that next level of competition.
Totally. So going back to when you were a young lad, how did you end up playing rugby?
Yeah, it's my dad tells this story actually. I was down watching my brother as a 4-year-old. I was 4 years of age, and my brother was playing rugby, and they were a bit short on this particular day, and so Dad just threw me out there as a 4-year-old, and I think I lasted all of 5 minutes because my first tackle was a soccer slide tackle apparently, and just wiped some poor bugger out. So Dad hoiked me off the field pretty quickly, and soon taught me to tackle. But mate, it's it was just in the family. My father had a long career at Gordon in Sydney, and have some really fond memories of at Chatswood Oval there, where my brother and I were ball boys for many years while Dad played and then Dad coached. So it was ingrained in us from a very young age, and absolutely love the game, and that's why I'm still passionate about it now. I don't think I've had a year off since I was 4 years old, and moved up to Brisbane after a short stint in Sydney. I think I was 7 years of age, and as I said, I haven't missed a year since.
That's awesome. Do you think seeing your dad become a coach sort of made you want to become a coach as well?
Yeah, mate, it could have well done. And my mother also coached a lot of netball. So we were always around mum and dad when they were coaching. So I could have well been a part of that. But I think through my playing career, probably mid-20s from memory is when I took a bit of interest in coaching. And there's probably a coach who had a big influence on me there was Damon Emtage, who coached Sunnybank for many years in Brisbane and went on to become the Queensland Reds assistant coach. And He had a huge influence on me, and I started to pick his brain a bit on the tactical and technical side of the game, but to go deeper with him and find out a bit more about what coaching entails. Throughout my playing career is when I probably got a bit of a bug for it.
I think most players, once they get to sort of that senior level, they start to realize, I could probably do some sort of coaching. And you do see the better players and the veteran players give back to a lot of younger athletes, and they probably don't realize that they're coaching them. And it's great to see people, once they've finished rugby, to still give back to that game we love and just stay around, because it's a great community. And it's really fun to see when you're a coach, because you get to step back and not take all those big hits. You just get to be on the sideline, which is nice. But you get to see if what your style of game playing, if it works or if it doesn't work, and bringing a group of guys and girls together to play the game they love and go out there and give it their best.
Yeah, too right, mate. I mean, you do sit back and think, geez, I couldn't do that these days. From the physical side of things, as you said, but I think with coaching also comes a few bloody grey hairs and wrinkles. I love it.
That's good. So what is your current coaching philosophy, and has it sort of changed going from club level rugby to semi-professional to then professional rugby?
Probably not so, mate. I mean, it's who I am, and it's always been that way around my philosophy. But I think number one is to create an enjoyable workplace, and you want your staff and players to turn up smiling each day, and then to jump in the car at the end of the day smiling. That's very important. To me, is to enjoy what we do. It's it's pro sports. It's tough, but if you can enjoy what you do and love what you do, I think that is pretty important to establishing a positive environment and good culture. And if you get all those things right, it will lead to success, no doubt. And I think being respectful to all people is important. Your fellow staff, team members, front office, whoever it might be, your stakeholders, your members. That's really important. Is being respectful to people, and I think hard work. I enjoy people that just genuinely work hard to achieve whatever is set out to achieve, and it's competitiveness. I'm competitive. I'm really competitive, whatever it is, and I try and instill that in my players as well. Obviously, no matter what we do. Is to be competitive and want to win. But something I always fall back on around my philosophy is it's a little acronym, and it's true. The word is true, and that's for me to be true to myself. I want all the athletes to be true to themselves about how they go about their business, and what they do is to always be true to themselves. And that acronym, what it stands for is a T stands for trust each other. The R stands for respect each other. So there's that word again, respect. The U is understanding each other. And the E is enjoy each other. And that's what I always fall back on for myself around my coaching philosophy and who I am. And also who, I'd like players to be as well.
I love that. I think it's really cool to hear that coaching philosophy. And you want to be able to come to your workplace and enjoy it, but also be competitive and push each other really hard and just do the work, so that when the season comes and that game day comes, you can just give it your best shot, and you're in a really good position to be able to achieve the result that you want. And I think that the trust and respect is a really big key of it. I think a lot of people in teams probably don't understand each other that well and don't understand people's stories. And if you really got time, took the time to know your players and fellow coaches and all that, you would understand them a bit more, and you understand that we're all trying to strive towards that one goal. And it definitely makes a team environment and culture much better as well.
Yeah, that's right. No, I think, it's in order. If you get that respect right, if you respect people who you work alongside each day, and each day in professional sport, you try and be perfect just about every minute, with your preparation, your recovery, your gym work, your conditioning work, your on-field training. You try and be perfect every day. It doesn't always go that way. But I think, if you respect each other, you're going to get the trust of each other no matter what, because that respect's there. Understanding each other is very important, and that's at work, but also away from work. With what people do and how they like to live and what they like and what they don't like, it's really important. And then if you tick all those boxes, you're going to enjoy each other, and enjoy what you do.
I think you also get that support as well when players are going through good times and bad times. You'll notice who's there in your corner, and the team wants to help you. The organization wants to help you as well. So I think, just that support, especially during the hard, challenging times. I think if you've built all that foundation and all those qualities that we just spoke about, players will just feel like they're in a really good position to be able to share their story, share the difficult times, and then just try and get through them and to become that better player.
That's right. Yeah.
So how important is strength and conditioning for rugby athletes?
Yeah, it's hugely important, Kieren. I think each year you're trying to get an edge on the opposition, and sports science these days and SandC within the program plays a huge part, and around your strength, your power, your speed, your up and down conditioning. It's all so important these days, and I think what we see these days is that there's so much interaction, which is important, between what exercises are done, within the gym space, which need to be transferred out onto the playing field. So, coaches work pretty close with their SandC coaches around what particular exercises need to be done within the gym space, so that can be transferred out into their rugby training. And I learn so much every year in this space, from the SandC staff. And head of athletic performance here at the Force was Anthony Katrupi, who's superb, and he taught me so much. And I've got a big appreciation for it, more so now than what I probably did 5-10 years ago. But it's not only at this pro level. I think at club rugby level or schoolboy level, if you put a big emphasis on the SandC side of things, that's going to give you that edge, with whatever competitions you're in. And I've got a big appreciation for it, mate, because it just keeps evolving from year to year. And but very, very important that it's a big focus within a program.
That's awesome. So how does the SandC program fit into the rugby program, let's say, for a pre-season, just like a general week, and then an in-season as well?
Yeah, so I think obviously pre-season things are a little bit different with what markers and need to be hit from the SandC staff side of things. And we always try to incorporate it with doing as much ball in hand conditioning as possible. But look, it does vary a little bit from pre-season to in-season, and but it all relates back to hitting, the PGI, so the peak game intensities and high speed meters and very high speed running meters, accels. It's all hugely important. But I think no matter if it's pre-season or in-season, what the SandC staff, what they need to hit from their side of things, it's very important that collectively with the coaches, that there are certain numbers that are hit. And I think in season, you've got to have the ability to be able to adapt as well. It's not always going to go the way of the rugby side of training or the way of the SandC side of training. So I think what's important is, when the planning is put forward by the SandC staff to the rugby coaches, that there's a sense of the ability to be able to adapt from week to week as well. And that might be due to flights or, what a particular game was like from that previous weekend, whether it was, a heavy collision game or there was a lot of ball in play for that particular game. So it can change a little bit from pre-season to in-season, but also from week to week.
No, it's a great insight. So going back to your comment about competitiveness, what are some things you like to put in training to make athletes sort of compete against each other in a more of a fun sort of sense, but also in the serious sense as well?
Yeah, I think it's, and probably comes back to a little bit of the coaching philosophy as well, is to have game-based drills at training. So might be working 4-on-4, 4v4 or 8v8 or 12v12, whatever it might be, is to try and make them competitive through game-based drills. And that can be in the gym as well, when coaches are getting little soft touches on players, whether it's catch pass drill in the gym in between gym sets, or some juggling, or some hand ice drills with tennis balls or medicine balls, whatever it might be, to try and make it competitive. Whoa,
that's all good.
Got the heater going there, mate.
That's because I leaned back. That's all good. Nothing like a bit of live action on the podcast.
Always good. HIA, you're out for 12 days.
Yeah. Just need to go get that checked out. No, we're all good.
Yeah, so make it competitive but fun, and that comes back to that enjoyment factor. And because you want your players to push each other every day, and no matter what drill it is, out on the field or within the gym, is you want the guys pushing each other. And it's I enjoy seeing them compete against each other, and with that comes a fair bit of banter.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's definitely something I've tried to put into my coaching as well, is add that competitiveness into it. So like the small-sided games, just making sure that you're really pushing hard and doing those extras, especially if it's sort of drop-off touch. You sprint your ass to get to the sideline, get back in, work hard for the team. And it's just reminding the players as well, it's not just about you, it's the team. And I love doing those drills, but I also like doing stuff after training. Just say, for instance, with the Brumbies 18s boys that I've been working with, we do a jump ball challenge. So just like you in basketball, we get 3 backs, 3 forwards, and it's just whoever gets them two wins. And yeah, they love it. They love just competing against each other. And I make sure at the end, on the game-winning one, that as soon as you get that, you celebrate. You rub it into the other team, but in a nice way, not just like in a snobby kind of way. Yeah. It's a nice way. And yeah, just little things like that, or even just crossbar challenge, drop kick, coach versus players. All those little things, they're awesome. And I love building those competitiveness on a serious base, but also on a fun base as well.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah.
Hi everyone. We just wanted to take a break from this episode. We hope you are enjoying this episode so far, and also all the content we have produced. We appreciate all the support from our listeners and followers so far. If you haven't already, sign up to Elite Rugby SandC newsletter today. We provide you free, exclusive content each and every single week to our subscribers. Link in the bio. Remember to like, subscribe, and share Elite Rugby SandC on social media to all your friends and families. So thanks again for your support, and now back to the episode.
So what advice do you give to up-and-coming rugby athletes wanting to become a professional rugby athlete?
I think, dream big, chase your dream. If you want to become an athlete, it's up to that person to achieve the goal of becoming a pro athlete. It solely comes down to you, and that comes through a lot of hard work. It's not given to you. Chase your dream, work hard. Never give up on your dream either. It'll happen if you set your mind to it and be patient, and know that you're giving it everything. That'll things pay off in life. And I think that's really important. That patient word is pretty important. That there's guys who aren't getting their contracts these days until maybe mid-20s, and that's through putting obviously in a lot of hard work, throughout their schoolboy rugby, post school into club rugby, and then hopefully they get a bit of representative rugby along the way to keep them engaged in what they want to set out to achieve. But with that comes a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifice. You're going to have to sacrifice a lot to become a pro rugby player, and it's a great feeling when you're there, or when you're there. But certainly, you got to maintain those levels of commitment as well once you're there.
I think it comes back to just what you said was patience. And as soon as I hear patience, I hear trusting the process. Like, it's going to be a long process. You're going to have to sacrifice, just as you said, but you're going to have to keep working hard, because you may get signed straight out of school. Some players, it happens like that. Or you might have to go a different route, play some good club rugby. You might have to go overseas and then come back. There's many stories like that. Tane Edmond, who was on the podcast a few weeks back, was talking about Charlie Gamble coming over from New Zealand and then making it in Australia. Or Scott Fardy comes to mind for me as well. He came over back late to Australia and then was probably one of the best number sixes that we've ever seen. So it's just a process to get there. But if you keep dreaming big, as you said, and just follow that dream and keep enjoying your rugby on the way, and just keep learning, keep pushing, it will come true eventually. If it doesn't, well, at least you gave it your all, and you can look back on your time like, I really did enjoy it. I really worked hard. And even if you just play club rugby is still a really good competition to play at, and you'll make a lot of fun memories as well.
Yeah, and I think when I address young players and sort of that schoolboy age bracket where they're going to be transitioning out of schoolboy rugby into club rugby, is I put it out there to the guys that they're potentially only 12 months away from earning a full-time contract. And I think reality hits home with some of them, and that they're probably not where they need to be. And there's a big adjustment going from schoolboy rugby to senior rugby, and that's where I think some guys do become impatient. But it's important, I think, to stay focused if you do want to become a pro player. And it's okay if you don't, as you said. But if you do want to become a pro player, staying focused and sacrificing certain things is very important.
My last point on that would be also, don't sort of rush the process as well. If you've come out of schoolboy rugby and you're sort of like, I really want to play first grade, like, yeah, that's a great goal to have, but playing Colts, there's nothing wrong with playing Colts and developing your skills at that level. I've seen it a couple of times with fellow teammates, but also my athletes as well. Some of them sort of getting annoyed that they're playing Colts, but it's like, are you really making the most of your opportunity at Colts? Because when you come off the bench to play, say, second grade, you're sort of bringing over those bad habits from Colts to second grade. So, for instance, body height when carrying the ball in, you're going to have to drop that height a lot, whereas in Colts you can get away with it. But yeah, are you really making sure that you're owning that Colts competition and making sure that your skills are up to level, so when that opportunity does happen to go play grade, second grade or first grade, that you're ready to go, and you're not just got that opportunity, you mess it up, and who knows when that next one's going to come.
Yeah, I think the other thing there, mate, is, and you speak to most rugby players, post-career, and they look back on their careers, and the most enjoyable years are those Colts years, aren't they? Have so much fun, and there's that enjoyment factor again. But geez, they're a good period of your rugby career is Colts rugby.
That's good. Yeah, it was good fun. I really enjoyed my time, and got to play with some really good rugby players. So we sort of already touched upon it around culture and environment, but is there sort of anything else you'd like to add to that culture environment where you are creating an environment where you push players and their teammates to sort of be the best that they can be?
Yeah, look, so something we set up a little bit of a catchphrase or mantra here when I first got here, and it's work hard, stay humble. And I think I always say it to the guys: if you work hard in life, then things will come your way. if you just keep chipping away and working hard, and you're going to earn success. And I think staying humble is very important, or humility. It's a key character trait for me, and I think as I said, I think good things come to those who work hard and and are humble.
That's awesome. So outside of rugby, is there any other sort of sports you like to watch that intrigued you?
Yeah, look, netball, good sport. As I said, my mum coached netball. My sister played at a really high level and is now a professional coach herself for the Sunshine Coast Lightning. So I've been around netball, all my life, and now my 2 daughters are playing it. And I think it's a great sport. It's fast, really high skill level. Your hand-eye, your peripheral, vision, your accels. I love it. It's a good sport. I like basketball. Play a lot of basketball growing up. I don't get too much time to watch it, but it's I like my ball.
If you were going to be playing netball, is there a certain position that sort of you enjoy the most? Are you more of a scorer, or your playmaker type role, or more of a defender?
Yeah, good question. Probably playing a lot of basketball growing up. I'd look to become a shooter, but I think my competitive nature would probably, get me in the goalkeeper or goal defender.
You're quite tall, so you got some good reach to be able to block some shots, I would say.
Yeah, I wouldn't be good through the mid-court, mate. You run on not a quick fella.
Yeah, that's all good. So each week you sort of have the challenging task of selecting your first 15 and the bench as well. What are some of the considerations you think of when making selections as a coach?
Yeah, good question. Well, I think form obviously is paramount. You obviously got to select players who are playing well. Cohesion is important. Trying to select players in your spine, if you like. It's really important to get those or build those relationships, playing relationships. And then you can go tactically around opposition, who you're playing. Around load management as well. There's some factors that come into it, but certainly you got to be picking guys who are playing well. That's probably
awesome.
Main factor there, mate. Yeah.
So when a player doesn't make the match day squad, what do you want that player to do? Is there certain changes they need to make or improvements? Let's say if they go back to club rugby, what's that conversation you're having with them?
Yeah, I think it'll be, the player would have been given, areas of the game that he or she would need to work on. So to make sure that they're ticking those boxes, that training is important, and if they went back and played club rugby, was evidence for the coaches to see that they are improving in those particular areas that they were told to improve on or work on. So that'll be important. I think, I always say this to the players around selections, and when they don't make a match day squad, it's very easy for me to sit here in front of a player and say, just keep chipping away, keep working hard, you're doing well at training, but the players don't want to hear that over and over again, because, that they more than likely are training well and working hard. So it's easy for a coach to say, just keep chipping away, your time will come. But I respect players in that regard when they hear that from a coach, because it is difficult. It's not a nice position to be in, not making the match day squad with around about a dozen other players week in, week out. And I have a huge amount of respect for players who are on the fringes of a match day squad, and their output at training in the gym is nine times out of 10 at a very, very high standard. So but it is true, and that's probably the point I'm getting at there. It is true that they do have to remain positive within your squad. so they don't have an impact on the rest of the squad and the mood of the squad, but also out on field training is that they don't have a negative impact on training because they're moping around and they've dropped their bottom lip and they got the shits with the world. But it's a tough place to be, mate. And I think what will enhance his level of engagement and output is again just that good environment and positive culture that you have at a place, and that that enjoyment factor as well is that everyone from your captain through to your 35th player, whatever numbers you got in the squad, is that they are enjoying themselves. And I treat player number 35 in exactly the same manner as the captain or your most established, experienced player. It's something that's important to me, and I do have immense respect for those players, mate, that miss out.
I really like that last point of you're talking the same from player 1 to player 35. And for the people who've been listening to the podcast the last couple of weeks, I have mentioned the book that I'm rereading. It's called You Win the Locker Room First. And one of the things that sort of comes out of my mind is being consistent to that. So can you be consistent in your communication ability, but also in your leadership from that top player down to, say, a rookie? Can you be consistent with your message and just the person that you are, and not change the sort of personality that you have with them? Like, you're a really good friend to that top player, but when you get to a rookie, you sort of shun them off a bit. And I really like that comment that you said of you're treating everyone the same, and it sounds like you're being very consistent. And I think from a player's point of view, that would be awesome to see my coach treat everyone the same with respect and be open and honest as well.
Yeah, and that's right. I think the honesty factor is important, and I'll put my hand up, and we don't always get it right as coaches. We're not perfect, but to be honest with a player, and if I'm not happy with how I delivered something, or that I missed a player on a certain day, is to be honest and to approach that player as quick as possible and have a yarn with him and say, mate, I didn't get it right yesterday. I apologise about that. And that's where I say is just respecting everyone equally is important.
I think that's something I've tried to improve myself upon is making sure that I'm taking those mental notes and then also reflecting on my coaching sessions to say, oh, did I explain that the best that I could have, or was I a bit harsh on that player, or was that the wrong thing to say at the time when I was trying to be funny or something along those lines? And I think that's something I'm trying to really work on, is making sure that I make note of that. And if it is something bad, I'm going to address it straight away. I'm just going to put my hand up and say, hey, that was my mistake. I own it. And hopefully my athletes take that on board as well. It's like, wow, he owned that mistake. Awesome. I'll do the same as well.
Yeah, spot on.
So that's all the questions I have for today, Tim. So if listeners want to reach out and connect with you, where can they find you on social media?
I don't get too much into it, Kieren, but I really enjoy Twitter. Pick up on some really good articles within Twitter, LinkedIn as well. They're probably my go-tos, mate, for when I have a bit of a read and try and, as I said, pick up on articles or what's going on in the coaching or leadership world. So that's where I mainly spend my time when I do look to go to social media. Is LinkedIn classed as social media?
Yeah, I would say it's more like the professional Facebook, I would say.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah, I'll make sure I put your links in the show notes as well. So thanks for joining me today, Tim. It's been awesome to get an insight from a Super Rugby coach. And I couldn't say thank you enough.
Thanks, Kieren. And mate, look after that noggin after that time.
Yeah, I will. For those people who are just listening, the sign on the background did hit me on the head, but I'm all good. Catch you later, Tim.
Mate. Good chatting.
So thanks for tuning into another episode of Elite Rugby SandC podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and rate Elite Rugby SandC on Spotify, YouTube, and follow us on Instagram. Sign up to become a beast today via the link in the description or via Instagram page. Also, sign up to our newsletter and receive free bonus content each and every single week. So don't wait, make that good decision and join Elite Rugby SandC today and take your game to the next level.